Every game developer understands the importance of content creators when it comes to the success of a video game. Influencers can make big games bigger, turn a game with low expectations into a bestseller, introduce an old series to a new audience, and so much more. A game's success on platforms like Twitch and YouTube isn't something that can be bought with money, despite attempts from some companies. So when a game goes viral, it's a huge opportunity for any studio. The first modern game Nintendo released that struck gold in the realm of content creation was Super Mario Maker. The game had an explosive launch in September of 2015, but rather than dying down after a few months like virtually every other Nintendo release, it remained the most viewed Nintendo game on Twitch for 4 years. The high demand for content launched many creators into the spotlight, making Mario Maker an instant hit. This was Nintendo's maiden voyage into the world of user-generated content, and while it was far from perfect, it showed that Nintendo was finally catching up to their competitors when it came to offering ways to play online. Super Mario Maker's biggest issue was that it only existed on the Wii U, a console that sold less than 18 million units. What the concept needed was another shot on a console people would actually buy, and that opportunity would come with the release of the Nintendo Switch. On February 13th, a Nintendo Direct debuted worldwide, and everyone watched with equal levels of excitement and fear with hopes for a crumb of good news in between the inevitable announcements of generic JRPG 26 and generic JRPG 27. Fans of the Mario Maker series wouldn't have to wait long, as their crumb came in the form of an official reveal of Mario Maker 2 right off the bat. And people were kinda okay with this.
Yes! They're doing it! They're doing it!
Whoa! Shortly thereafter, a direct dedicated solely to Mario Maker 2 was announced on May 15th of that year. The hype would only grow as this direct revealed new themes, power-ups, enemies, and game modes coming to the sequel. These new additions were fantastic, but there were some noticeable features absent from the game's launch. Costumes for the Super Mario Bros. 1 theme were completely removed without any explanation from the developers. While these costumes didn't change anything beyond the look of the Mario sprite, they allowed levels themed after other franchises to really feel unique. Another big loss from Mario Maker 2 was the 100 Mario Challenge, usually called 100 Man. This was a mode in which you were given 100 lives to beat a certain number of courses, with a choice between 4 difficulty levels. The Super Expert difficulty was one of the most popular modes in the game as it assigned a set challenge with random courses, meaning that you never knew how a run was going to play out. The Endless mode added to Mario Maker 2 is similar to 100 Man in that you get a set number of lives and have the same 4 difficulty levels, but as the name might suggest, you just go until you run out of lives. While Endless is an excellent idea, there's no reason why 100 Man couldn't have existed alongside it. The downsides to Endless are that it's difficult to know how long of a run you're committing to, and that every run ends in a game over, whether you beat one level or 1,000. Another odd decision was the inability to view downloaded levels in the editor. The editor was a great tool in the original Mario Maker for finding developers' secrets like hidden exits or power-ups, and it also gave a convenient way to practice tough sections of the hardest challenges Mario Maker had to offer: Kaizo levels. Kaizo levels are precise, technical courses that are designed to be difficult and often use setups not found in traditional Mario games. Due to some questionable physics changes between the two games, some common mechanics such as shell jumps, item dropping, and other classic tech from the first game became very different and in some cases more difficult to execute consistently. The changes weren't all bad, but it really felt like Nintendo wanted to discourage the popular Kaizo trends that helped make the first Mario Maker so successful. At the end of the day though, trimming out parts of what made the first game so fun didn't immediately doom Mario Maker 2 to the decline that it's experienced. The new stuff announced prior to the game's release was more than enough to drown out the worries people had about what was missing. Even if things were lost from the first game, updates could always bring the missing pieces back, along with even more content. And for 10 months, Nintendo was on their game. In October of 2019, a patch was dropped which added the ability to play levels with friends online, which was a huge addition for people who had friends. The next one came just 2 months later, and was the first to add new course elements. This update included enemies like Pokies and Spike, blocks like boost platforms, and the most notable additions were the Ninja Speedrun Challenge and the Link Power-Up. These two inclusions were huge, as an entirely new mode meant that even more ways to play the game could potentially be in the pipeline as replacements to the lost 100 Mario Challenge. The Link power-up was reminiscent of the costume system from Mario Maker 1, but with an entirely new moveset for Mario, rather than just an altered sprite. This was a completely new element for a Mario game, showing that Nintendo is willing to bring in original content to Mario Maker 2, which caused a lot of speculation. A Kirby power-up could let you swallow enemies and gain abilities, Samus could allow you to grapple to walls and drop bombs, and if you want to rain sausage down on your enemies, Mr. Game & Watch! And these are only a fraction of the significant IPs that Nintendo could work into the game. Hopes for Mario Maker 2 updates went through the roof after all these phenomenal additions, so Nintendo needed to work hard to meet everyone's expectations. And then, in April of 2020, a trailer was uploaded out of the blue to Nintendo's YouTube channel, which started with this.
Thanks for playing the Super Mario Maker 2 game. We'll be releasing the last major update soon. Now, let's go!
Right off the bat, before showing anything, Nintendo wanted everyone to know that they were done with Mario Maker 2. And of course, the update trailer had massive additions to the game, but at the end of the day, the excitement was soured by the knowledge that this was it. No more updates for a game that had been out less than a year. This is the primary reason for the slow but steady decline of interest amongst community members. Mario Maker is an experience that gets very stale very quickly when good creators aren't given good tools with which to make new courses. A quick peek at the popular levels section shows how obvious this is. There are hundreds of courses with the theme of bounce off of enemies and throw objects at indicators, or jump off of falling blue platforms, or speedrun with millions of coins, and without new additions, these levels will remain the best it gets for the rest of the game's life. Many popular Mario Maker creators have grown frustrated and made the move to creating Mario World ROM hacks, as these projects aren't limited by Nintendo's willingness to update, but rather by the limitations of the Super Nintendo hardware. Despite this, the level of creativity in a solid Mario World ROM hack blows the possibilities of Mario Maker out of the water in every imaginable way. But if updates are so critical, then why did the first Mario Maker maintain steady growth over 4 years with almost no updates? Mario Maker 1 had almost no support after launch, aside from a couple of small updates which added important things like checkpoints, along with smaller things like skewers and keys. This is because the biggest killer was Burnout, which carried over from the first game and is the reason content creators have dropped Mario Maker 2 quite a bit in recent months, despite it having more to do than its predecessor. At the end of the day, while it can be entertaining to watch someone get hit with sniper thwomps, jump into Kaizo blocks, and pick the wrong door for the 8th time in a row, the fact that the vast majority of Mario Maker 2 levels are just awful makes actually playing the game for hours at a time a brutal endeavor. Updates make even the worst levels more interesting at first, but eventually, any creative tools given to a 9-year-old will be used for evil. One final important difference between the lifespans of the two games is that Nintendo never directly came out and said,
いかがでしたか? 今回のダイレクトも残すところあとわずかですが、もう少しお付き合いください。続いてはこちらの映像をご覧ください。
like they did with Mario Maker 2. So even years after the final update, there was still some hope of Nintendo dropping a surprise update or DLC. While we can see now that this was never going to happen, that small hope helped motivate people to continue playing, no matter how stale Mario Maker 1 got. Even though Mario Maker 2 has its issues, and the scene isn't flourishing like it once was, the game is far from awful. And with just a few changes, it would be so easy to breathe new life into the game. The critical change needed for this to occur is just new content. With a steady flow of new game modes and building elements, creators and fans would get roped right back into the game. Even updates that only add one element could do wonders for the variety the game needs. Take a look at the penguin suit from Super Mario Bros. Wii. There could be levels where you slide and smash through blocks, throw ice balls to create platforms, and have quick, precise swimming in a similar vein of the frog suit. And this doesn't even include the mountains of other uses that players would find beyond the boundaries intended by the developers. With small updates like this every couple of months, plenty of stimuli would be provided for people who feel that the game has gotten old and repetitive. Critical changes are also needed for the online system. The online additions to Mario Maker 2 are incredibly fun, when they work. The versus and co-op modes are some of the most humorous additions to the game, but unplayable lag hitting hard and often makes playing them a game of Russian roulette. Even if Nintendo can't make the online experience smooth for the majority of their players, at the very least, they can offer the ability to opt out of playing with people whose internet dates back to the 90s. This option already exists in the latest Mario Tennis game, so Nintendo clearly knows how to implement this. In addition to better stability, additional modes for the online scene could help a lot as well. Imagine if there was a mode in Mario Maker 2 similar to the now defunct Mario 35. Rather than playing 1-1 on loop, you could compete against 34 other people to survive Little Timmy's levels for as long as possible. Nintendo has been clear that they aren't providing any more free updates to the game, but maybe, just maybe, they might still be willing to add paid DLC. There would of course be people who wouldn't approve of paid DLC, but this seems like a fair compromise with the ruthless businessmen of Nintendo. All of these changes are realistic additions that could have carried Mario Maker 2 to the legendary game I so desperately wanted it to be. But now, it seems doomed to a slow, painful death. This hurts to see, because as a bright young lad, I would often come home from high school to catch a Mario Maker stream. The game introduced me to content creators that I still watch and enjoy today, such as Ryukar, Grand Pooh Bear, Carl Sagan, and even Zeta SSJ, who makes his videos in a language I don't even speak. There are very, very few games that have drawn me in as thoroughly as the Mario Maker series, and it hurts to see it lower than it's ever been in a time where most games with an audience of this size can get consistent updates to keep it interesting. Mario Maker 2 has fallen short of the wishes of its fans, and I sincerely hope that Nintendo ups their game for whatever the future of 2D Mario holds. But if this is as good as it gets, then at least Mario Maker has been an experience worth remembering.